My AI bot is busy summarizing and replying to emails. Hi, I'm Jason. I'm a 45-year-old dad of two, and I built an email organizer app in 10 minutes, all with free tools. I'm going to talk you through what I did. I'm not claiming to be some great whiz kid at this sort of stuff. I'm learning. I'll be honest with you. I'm learning as I go. I'm going to show you what I learn, and you can take from that what you will. You may want to copy it. But the idea is I want to upskill myself on AI tools and upskill myself on building apps. I'm going to aim for an app a week, and I'm going to try and build in public, or at least talk through what I built in public to give some accountability. So give me your thoughts. Okay, so this app will take an email. For example, here is an email I forwarded. I'll be honest with you here, first of all. I'll start off just by saying very clearly, this is an email account I have that I don't use very often. And so that's why there's not many emails to it. I've been trying to send test emails to find some emails to it. Should I send this on my main email account? I don't know. Give me your thoughts in the comments. Let me know. So this example of an email here, it actually summarizes it beautifully. It's telling me there's a domain I've got that's going to expire in June the 1st of 2025. Great, really clear summary. That's fantastic. So after I did that, after I built the summarize, I thought, I could go further. And I actually built something that does a reply. So only the last email has that reply. And let's just take a look at that. And it's actually, it's just saying test message received, thanks. The reply didn't do very well. I actually added something afterwards. We'll see if it works. It didn't do very well because it sort of kept the original message thing on the same line. So we maybe need to fix that. And we can see how to do that when I go through the scenario. So I am using Make as my automator. There's lots of different automators out there. I'm not claiming Make's the best, and I don't have an affiliation with Make, at least not right now, not at the time of recording this video. It's just the one that I happen to use because it worked quite well. So my scenario is off because I found that if I leave it on, it eats through operations. That is maybe a disadvantage with Make versus other tools. If you just leave it on running, checking, even if it's not doing anything, even if it's not processing emails, if it's actually checking for them, it will actually burn through your free allowance. So it's just something to watch out for. Okay, let's just take a look at this. So we have Gmail, then it goes to Google Gemini, it goes to Google Sheets, it goes to Google Gemini again, and then it goes to Gmail. Why am I using Google Gemini? Google Gemini was free, so it was just easier to use that. Okay, let's take a look at the integration. Let's go into it. So here, the first thing is Gmail, watch emails. So you will need to set up an email account to do this. You need to set it up on make.com. You can do that by clicking add, for example, and sign in with Google, and it's just a few clicks. Really easy to do. Nothing difficult there. You'll need to choose the folder that you want to look at. You can think about a filter. This filter thing didn't do anything for me. I don't even know what it does, I'll be honest with you. Some of these things I just wasn't sure, and I just clicked the option. I will say this with make.com, there's a lot of options, a lot more than say other providers. So that's good in a way, but obviously if you don't know what that option does, that's a problem. But on the other hand, just clicking the sensible options seem to work. I put max three results because, again, this is a test process. I didn't want to burn through. If it did end up getting a lot of emails, I didn't want to burn through any allowance. But I think if you may want to have more, because it could, just something to watch out for there, really. If you've only got 3, for example, and you're checking every hour, and you get more than 3 emails in an hour, you might miss something. Okay, and it's a case of save. All right, and then this is interesting. This is the bit I'll be honest with you, I've done some automation before, but I never used AI in it. So this was quite interesting to me because I went to Google Gemini AI and I used that. Now let me just talk you through that. We'll start by going to Google AI Studio. So I actually chose the model, and you'll see how I did that, the Gemini 1.5 Flash. It's got a good free of charge plan, so you can pay, but the free of charge plan seems to be pretty decent. 15 requests per minute. We're not going to be doing anything near that. And everything else is free. So I think that's pretty good, and a pretty good deal that Google offers. And that's one of the reasons I went with Google, rather than some of the competitors, just because I knew that I could get a free one to do that. So you can just click Get API Key and you'll get an API key. I'm not going to show you that on screen because I don't want, well, for security reasons, obviously, you don't share API keys, even if they're free. I don't want you to, well, I don't want anyone to burn through any limits I have. So yeah, so that's very easy, pretty simple to do. Once you've got your API key, you'll go back to make and you'll add the connection here and you'll put in the API key. All really simple to do. You will need to go to Google separately though to get that API key. And as I say, free should work. All of this stuff is just to test the concepts and just see if it works. If you find you build a model that's really good, of course, you can then go in and potentially substitute in a better AI model here. And that might help you produce better summaries. Or you can also switch to a paid plan. And on a paid plan, you have perhaps the option of having higher limits. So you could be sending more summaries through. Summary requests through, but there's no need for that. So role, I don't think the role makes a difference. If I think on one thing I selected use, on one thing I selected model, I don't think it matters. This is again the thing about too many options, and I don't really understand what they all are, but it doesn't seem to matter. Message type is just text. It's not a file, obviously, and then just put the message request here in. Now, one really nice thing is, obviously, you can see the text that I've written here, and I've written it in a way I don't want the email, I don't want the AI model to summarize, to tell me this is what I'm going to do. You know how they do sometimes when you're chatting with them, they might say, oh, thank you, you've asked for this is what I'm going to do. I don't want it to do that. So I've tried to write the prompt in a way that doesn't do that. It just gives me the literal summary that I want back. Now, one nice thing about Make is you can just put here, you can just select any of the stuff from the Gmail that you want. I mean, this is really good. You can just, all of the fields are just available and you can put them in. Of course, I want the content. I could have put HTML content, but there isn't HTML content. So I just want the text content of the email. Really easy to use, very convenient. And this will generate a reply, and it does it really quickly, actually. I guess that's one advantage of using the Flash model, as well as it being a free model that I'm using. The Flash model does mean it's quicker, perhaps, and doesn't take as long to think. Okay, and then we've got the output. Now, this is where we then add it to Google Sheets. Again, Google Sheets potentially free, so great to have that. And you set up your Google connection. Again, the search method, search by path, to be honest with you, again, I don't know what that does. I've just left it as that. Email spreadsheet ID, that's where you select the spreadsheet, and so that's pretty easy to do here. And then within the spreadsheet, you have a sheet name. I think mine's only got one, so that's easy. Does it contain headers? It's very good. I suggest you set it up with headers, just so it's clearer for you to then, when you're looking at this, you can work out what's what. And then it's really easy. You just got from, so again, you're just going to these fields and you're selecting from the two results we've got. We've got the Gmail result and we got the Google Gemini AI result. And so you can just select. So I've got from, so I put the sender name. You could put the sender email as well if you wanted. I've got subject. What's the subject of the email? I've got the summary, which is the one that's generated by Google Gemini. I've got the date, and I also added the body of the email. And you could add lots of other things if you wanted to. You could add the email address it was sent from. You could add anything you want here. But this just gives us the tool. Now, what I would say in all of this, what's new to me at least, is this summary thing. I've sort of played around with some automated tools before, but it's getting AI to do a summary that is really a new idea to me. I've just used result. Again, maybe the thing about, there's too many things. What do I use? Well, okay, it's just got result. And if you start to run things as a test, you'll see what it is. So it's actually, you can see what the text of the result is. But I'm telling you as well, I guess it's interesting that it's got all of these token counts and all that, but I don't really care. Okay, so that was the first part I built. I built Gmail, look for emails, get the email, throw it into an AI model, take the output of the AI model and some data from the email, put it into Google Sheets, and that was generating for me this summary and the body of the text. Very nice. I then thought, could I go further? Could I get it to actually write me an email? The answer is yes. I could even get it to send the email, not just put it to drafts. But again, maybe I'm not quite courageous enough with this, but I was a bit like, well, do I want to do that? So here we have this idea. Again, it goes to Google Gemini. It's got to go again to do that. And it's just the same idea. It's just going to Google Gemini. It's the same sort of thing. As you can see, I put raw model here. It doesn't seem to make a difference. And then let's create a suggested reply. When I first did this prompt, it didn't really work. So I had to rework it a bit. And sometimes you might find that the wording I put, it was copying some of the existing text into the reply. Just wasn't ideal. I think it misunderstood me. So you just need to be as clear as possible. And if it doesn't work, just go and edit the prompt to make it work better. But this is why it is important to test things. And here we can see, again, I'm just using Gemini 1.5 Flash, which is a pretty lightweight model. So you might find that the replies are not ideal. If that's the case, again, you can upgrade the model. But this is just a proof of concept for me, just to see that I can do this and I can build this. Okay, so here we have that. Now we've got that going then into Gmail again. And so here there's a bit of a different action. It's create a draft. So it's just going to create that draft. Now, as I said, there's different things you can do with Gmail. One of the things you could do is just literally, I mentioned already, just send the email. That's pretty exciting, I think. But if you don't want to do that, or then you can just put it in drafts as I am. So how did I do that? Well, I've got, what's the email address we're sending to? Well, we're sending to the sender email address, so it's different data I'm using. But we do have the sender email address in the Gmail thing, sender email address, yep. And you could add another recipient. You could copy in anyone you want. And then putting subject. So I've added the and then I've added the subject from there. And then I've just put the result from the second Google Gemini query. And this is something new that I added, is this BR. BR is an HTML field. It says you can use HTML tags. So just doing that because I was finding that the result was in line with the original message. You saw that in the text here. It wasn't quite working. You see this reply is then in line with the original message, which is in line with the actual original message. So one thing I've realized is, as I was on this video, is I probably need to add another BR to make this work. Now, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm hoping it will. I have actually created another test message in my inbox. So there'll be at least one more message. And I'm going to click run once. Now, you can do it to check it. So I'm clicking run. I'm doing it manually. As I mentioned earlier, that just eats through. If I have it on checking, it will just eat through my quota. On the free plan, though, you can check every 15 minutes. On paid plans, I think you can check every minute. So that's pretty good. Obviously, as I say, just something to think about, or make at least every time you check. It's not that it costs you money, but it costs you an operation, and you have a limit of operations. You need to just think through how many times do I need to be checking this and doing this. And then not doing it. Now, you can also actually, to be fair to them, you can also play around with the schedules, and maybe you don't check in the middle of the night. Why would you check if you know there's going to be like 10 hours when you're never going to be using this, you don't really care, then don't check then, and then come the morning, check for everything then, and that will save you some operations. Anyway, what I'm doing right now is just running it manually, but it can be done automatically. Okay, so let's click run once. And we see the first thing it does, and this I think takes the longest, is do that Gmail check. Wow, is everything else really fast? Google Gemini was just so quick. It's incredible. I was amazed by how quick it was. You just saw it fly through like that. So that is pretty good, pretty impressive. Now let's have a look at what it's done. So now it should have replied again. Okay. So there was actually two messages. So I had signed up for a couple of things, been trying to get some test messages. So let's take a look at this one, which is more so. Okay, thanks for the welcome and helpful suggestions. I'll check out the templates. It all seems to have worked as I wanted. You wouldn't really reply to these emails in this way, I have to say. And maybe a thing is you can see that the text isn't quite as good because it doesn't seem to have. Because I included the text of it, not the HTML. Okay, that's interesting. But I mean, it works pretty well. I quite like the reply. It's pretty neat, pretty helpful, pretty easy to go. And if someone was really emailing me, this is a fairly convincing reply. Now, I wouldn't send this because this is a welcome email, but it seems to be a pretty decent tool. If you're getting a lot of emails you need to reply to, I'm actually probably not really in that situation right now. But if I was in that situation where I was getting a lot of emails and I sort of needed to reply to them and it was just like a hassle, I might be tempted then, I think, to use a tool like this. Maybe what I would do is I'd sort of try to customize this prompt, not this one, this prompt here, to really get the summary and the tone I want and sort of the thinking I want. There's loads more we could do with this. I was writing down ideas for this. Let me see if I can find them. So we could. So I could put it onto Slack, and maybe there. I could also have something. I mean, one thought I had is I could put the reply into Excel, and then I could have another make.com integration that looks to see if I type yes in. If I type yes, then to send that reply. That'd be an interesting thing. So I wouldn't need to go into my email at all. But I feel like it sits better in the email folder. So this has been a bit of fun for me. I think I've learned how to do some stuff that I've not done before. I have used automations before, but never used this in this way. And there's definitely an element here, I would say, and I think this is really important if you are thinking about getting into it, is to not just watch the videos, but to have a go yourself. Because until you start trying to create prompts, and you find a prompt doesn't work and you need to rework it a bit, until you've gone through that experience, I think you'll struggle to get you'll struggle to do it the first time. So this sort of thing, and probably the second time as well, I'll have to see. But this sort of thing, this process of thinking about it, of trying it and trying different things is really good for skilling up. So I'm really, really pleased I've done that. And I'm looking forward to creating a new automation or a new app. I might do something a bit different next week. So let me know what you think, and in the comments, and tell me what else I should be building, or if you have any ideas on how I could take this automation further.